Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today we're going to take a look at the tangle Maelstrom from Linda Dawson. Now, this is, I was just peeking to see, oh yeah, this is from, well, at least it was posted on Tangle Patterns in 2013. I thought this one's been around for a while. Just have not played with it, or brought it here anyway. All right, so this is a fragment. And honestly, this is probably before they thought of the concept of fragments. It was like, or put it officially, as Rick and Maria did in the Zentangle primer book, talking about fragments and reticula. And I'll show you what that means. So if you don't know, I'll show you in a minute. But here's how it goes. And this is going to be one grid, one box of a, we'll pretend a larger grid. And any direction you want, we'll start with a nice C-shaped curve line going diagonally, like that. One end of your box to the next. Then we're going to essentially aura that line. And I highly recommend positioning your paper so that way you can use the natural curve of your hand. For the most part, it helps. Your results may vary. I don't know, my results vary every time I do it. But you increase your chance of consistency. All right. Next, from, the only open corner, we're going to, and I'm going to aim for this corner. We'll see where it goes. It doesn't matter too much because what we're going to do is, that's kind of your starting point. And then we're going to fill all of these, all of this section in with lines coming from this point. Now, what I like to do sometimes, and we'll see how well it works here, is to then I subdivide. And then it's like, well, I don't know if I want to subdivide again. I think I'll maybe, well, I don't know what you call it. It's not necessarily, well, I guess I'm subdividing it in with two lines. Whatever that would be. In my brain, when I think subdivide, I think in an equal, in half and in half again. And it ends up nice. It's kind of like, I like doing this better. I feel more comfortable doing it this way than if I just started here. But you can do that, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. And here, yeah, I see. And if I divided it in half, it's like, well, there's a little bit too much space there. So that's okay. Well, I might leave that one the way it is. And let's see if I put this one, if I put 2 in here. I mean, the nice thing is about all of Zentangle is we jokingly say it just doesn't matter. Which is, kind of a, I don't know, a different way of employing there's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. It's your choice how you go, but it's just us talking to us. It just doesn't matter. Just do it. All right. And that's how it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, and I really like what I did in my version of the step out. Though, take a look at the For More Inspiration link, actually both of the links in the description section. I always do my own version of the step outs, and then I link to the creator of the tangle, and that's what I call the For More Inspiration link, because that's a lot of why I put it in there. I think it's important that you see it from the creator of the tangle's hand, so I will link to their stuff, and I just think it's super important. All right, I'm going to do a 4 square. So this would be, technically a reticula. A reticula is any kind of a grid, but the reticula part, the question Rick and Maria asked themselves, well, this, yes, is a grid, but what about odd-shaped grids? And they explored that idea. I call it thesaurusing. They found, okay, well, what other words for grid are there? The story is all in the Zentangle primer, and I highly recommend it. And if you are interested, also in that description section, and let's see, which way do I want to start with this? Same way I did. In that description section, below the links to the step outs, you will find my link tree, and in there, if you go to the enabler store, or enabler alert. Sure, that's what we call it whenever we start talking about tools or pens or anything. It's just, what, enabler alert, shut your ears if if you don't want the temptation to get something. We have fun with it. But I do have a link there to Zentangle official stuff. I think I have a list of books. So take a look there. The primer is on there. And I'll thank you in advance. I get a little something from Amazon if you shop through my, after clicking on my link. All right. Let's see. Okay, so do I want to do one at a time? Oh, probably not. Sometimes I like to, let's see, and I'm going to go in here. Sometimes I like to do each step in each box. And then sometimes if you have an idea for how you want to place your fragments in your reticula, sometimes it's good to at least set maybe that first step. So that way, because I know myself, it's like, you just get going and then you're like, oh, that's not what I intended to do. And it doesn't matter, but sometimes you get a thing in your head and you just want it to go. So the idea here is, this is a fragment. And so we'll take it and turn it different directions and then see what meta patterns come from it. And it's really, really interesting. So this is, you could just do each box at a time and that's fine. It depends on you. And I know for me, it depends on the tangle, because there are some it's like, yep, nope, I'm going to do this box and then I'm going to move to the next box. Because sometimes they can be a little eyeball confusing. That's my term. And, you want to enjoy what you're doing. Although, unless, now I do sometimes enjoy making myself, a complicated mess that I need to figure out, because it's just the way I roll. And what's neat about this also is that you can have this one tangle and play with it in so many different ways when it's something that you can do like this, where it is just, you're just doing the fragment. And you think, depending on how big your grid is, and, there are so many different ways that you can turn this. And it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of like, I've joked, it's like if you were on, the question, if you're on a desert island, what things would you take with you? It's kind of, well, okay, apparently this one I'm going to just do it as I go. Oh, that's so funny. It's like if you were planning to be stranded on a desert island, what patterns would you take with you to do? Oh, that's another thing in that primer book that they kind of talk about that, because they walk you through some lessons, and it's really, really neat. But then drive the point home of how much fun you can have with each of those tangles, and not just doing variations, but just different ways to use them. Anyway, it's a really good book. I highly recommend it, as you can tell. All right. This really is a nice one that you can kind of lose yourself in, because it's just, C-shaped curved lines and straight lines, and that's it. And not too many, except for kind of twirling it around like this, in the reticula, but there's not a lot that you have to necessarily remember, or have to go back and look at the step out type of thing. Really, really nice. All right, almost done, and then we'll do some shading. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, if you wanted to, when we did these lines, you could add in the sparkle, which is just to leave a gap in an area and then you kind of do the same multiple times in, in the similar area, and that's what we call the sparkle. And that's something else that you could do, and I could totally see it in there. I wish I would have thought about it beforehand. All right. And, I mean, there's all these lines. I would think that it depending on what you want to do, you could do things like fill some of them in with either tangles or just filling in solid type of thing, making stripes. That's what I wanted to say. All right, now let us do some shading. And just because this is the way I was seeing it, because these lines, I mean, they kind of meet here, and I sometimes like to do this where I'm putting the graphite right where these lines are, what would they be, perpendicular to the other. And then, of course, where they meet. And we'll do the same thing on each side. Actually, on my version, on the big one, I filled in and shaded on the edges of those, because it can make it look nice and curvy there as well. It's also neat that, I mean, besides so many ways to turn it and have fun, but on top of that, adding in the many ways to decorate it, and your fun is endless. And I'm already liking how, yeah, it's looking neat. I mean, and the design was already kind of cool. It's like, okay, well, how do you want to accentuate that? And that's kind of the thought. Let's do something else with that. There we go. All right. I like to sometimes have a nice jagged edge, not a or whatever you would call it, a straight edge, I guess. Like, like here, I like to have it, like I said, just be in here, not, like it's a line of graphite. In my mind, I want it to look like it's like natural, like that's what, to me, it gives it the metallic look when you have, little bits of jagged edges there. Now, I think I want that to be a little bit darker. You know what? Well, I mean, look at that anyway. It's very cool. I'm going to just throw some of this 9B on here just to save a little time. And by the 9B, I mean yeah, look at that. Graphite pencil. But it's a 9B, which means that it is soft and it's dark. And I need to play with it more. And see, and I have that line there now that I was just talking about. There we go. And it's one of those, once you do it to one, you kind of have to do it to all. And the other thing that I could have done, and I'm doing now, is, well, not that much of a back and forth. Okay, little circles. I don't want to bring it out this way anymore. I just want it to be darker right at that edge. That's kind of getting it. And sometimes if it's not moving, the graphite, well, get a new Tortillion, or if you can, get it on its edge, so that way all of these little grooves in there, so it can grab that graphite and move it along. And it's fun to just play with this stuff. If you're, like me, where you didn't, didn't necessarily do the whole art thing. To me, it's just a whole new world of toys. And it's so cool. All right, well, we'll just leave it at that. I'm kind of happy with it. All right. Just really, really, really neat, if I do say so. Oh, let's shade this one. Oh, we'll start this one right with the, and I'm going to do these sides because I had mentioned that. And maybe I'll do the same down there. But if you are enjoying this while I'm doing this, would love it if you click on the like button. And if you liked it enough to see more, please click to subscribe to the channel. And then I've already mentioned the stuff in the description section. I do want to highlight, if you're interested in tangling with me online, I do teach classes twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, generally. And then, let's see, let's use what's left on the Tortillion here, because I need to wipe some of that off. And information for that is on my website. So in that link tree down below, you will find all of that information. I'm now using this like a palette, so I'm going back up here to grab some and then spreading it out down here. I want to make, let's see, have I used the end of this? Sometimes, you know, if either grab a new Tortillion if you want to lighten something up, or like we'll sometimes use the opposite end if it hasn't been used yet. And see, it's just picking up some of that graphite just to soften it up a bit. I just had a little too much on there. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Also in that on the link tree, we have a Tangle Addicts community Facebook group, and so we'd love to have you join us there if you'd like to. There are 4 questions that you have to answer before that unlocks the door, if you will. And as I say, everything on there is pretty self-explanatory. There we go. This could come up a lot more. This could probably come down a lot more, since I have a lot more room. But I don't know, it's just really, really neat. I like these kind of things. Just, you know, a pattern for a nice fill in or whatever. And yeah, just great fun. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, click like, subscribe, check out the description section, all of that. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you again so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.